I did that because I knew I wanted to make a deck once of a certain kind, and I wanted to get the base cards. And but it can also be really helpful for newer players who aren't ready to like just like go out and like just like get all the Magic cards. But with the rules, it could be a little bit confusing when things are like not clarified, just because there's so many rules and they change over time. And then you're like, oh, am I remembering the old way? Am I remembering the new way? And if there's ever any like, we're not 100% sure, we just like to look it up. So we do know a lot of stuff we've been playing, but we're also those people who are like, we don't assume that we remember everything all the time perfectly.
Oh, fun life hack. Siri, Google Speak, all those things. We'll often be playing Magic games and just ask them rulings, and they'll be able to tell us fun stuff.
Which is nice, yeah. Now we have Awless Dust, which is a tribal sorcery. It's an Eldrazi spell. 7 casting costs, and each player sacrifices all permanents they control that are one or more colors.
So basically, everyone sacrifices their stuff but you.
Man. It's just like, it makes me feel like some kind of weird, like, corrupted joy. Like, inside my soul, like, oh.
Mm-hmm.
I feel bad for the Eldrazi, though, honestly, because, like, I don't know, I play mostly group games. I really like playing with friends, and it's a different dynamic than one-on-one. I do play one-on-one games as well, but, like, your decks will be a little bit different for, like, how you want to do one-on-one versus group. And I feel like, especially in group, if you have an Eldrazi deck, you don't always get the fair shake of like, because people are like, Eldrazi deck, kill
Eldrazi
everybody.
guy.
Everybody's now allies, and it's like arch enemy against Eldrazi.
Yeah.
But we have Endbringer. It's a 6 casting 5/5 Eldrazi. Untap it, and during each other player's untap step. Oh, during each other player's untap step. And you can tap it, and it deals 1 damage to any target. You pay a colorless and tap it, and target creature can't attack or block this turn, which is useful. Or you could pay 2 and tap it and draw a card.
Yeah,
this is like, so this is 100% a good card. Solid. It's versatile. You're doing it multiple times in a round, potentially. It's just good. It's actually not too high casting cost. I like it a lot. We have Endless One, which is in pay X, and it's a 0/0. And it enters the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it.
You can make a baby Eldrazi, just a 1/1 little Eldrazi.
Yeah,
You know,
harmless little guy. He ain't doing nothing.
Just doing the best he can.
Yeah. And then we have It That Betrays, which
good reprint.
12 casting cost 11/11, Annihilator 2, and whenever an opponent sacrifices a non-token permanent, put that card onto the battlefield under your control.
Yeah.
Okay, I just had to like take a second to read it again, because I'm like, okay, that's like the Eldrazi I'm used to. It's like, I'm gonna mess you up, and then I'm gonna make you suffer more. I think they're like maybe a little bit sadistic, you know, like the Eldrazi. Like, I don't know. They're like, I'm indifferent. I'm just doing my Eldrazi thing, but I think they secretly like what they're doing. You know, just saying.
This is like the Memnarch of Eldrazi.
Memnarch has his own story, okay, and you guys are gonna find out about Memnarch's story eventually, and it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. You don't know Memnarch yet. So this is Eldrazi. It's a little guy. It's a 3 casting 3/2, and when it dies, reveal the top card of your library. You may put that card onto the battlefield if it's a permanent card with mana value 3 or less. Otherwise, put that card into your hand, which isn't bad. You're getting to get a card draw, and if it happens to be little, it goes out. I don't know if it's going to really help with your mana curve too much. Because like Eldrazi is going to be really skewed towards the high end, but you know, every little bit helps a little. We have Oblivion Sower. It is a 6 casting 5/8 Eldrazi, and when you cast this spell, target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of their library. Then you may put any number of land cards that player owns from exile onto the battlefield under your control. I mean, it's good for like being a cheaper Eldrazi, I think. You're getting rid of some of their stuff, which gives you a little bit of card advantage. And then, you're getting some like mana ramp potentially too.
It's like the third card that's stealing stuff.
I know. It's like, are they trying to, like, I feel like they're trying to be blue right now.
I'm so glad they reprinted this.
Well, since you're so glad, I'll let you read it, Betty.
Well, this is Ugin the Inflatable. Basically, colorless spells cost 2 less, which is nice. All the other stuff has a manifest ability for +1, but the second ability, which you can actually use when it comes into play, is Destroy Target Permanent. That has 1 or more colors, so it is very anti-color. But I really like that colorless spells cost 2 less. We need more of that.
So, and I know this video is pretty long. I figured it was going to be. It's going to be one of the longer videos we do, and we're just going to it's our first try. We're going straight through, and hopefully we make it through everything. We still have a good amount, but I'm hoping that most of those are lands. So we have a Golem that is a 10 casting 12/12 flash. It costs 1 less to cast for each attacking creature, which is good if I guess with the manifest you could be attacking with those and that could lower the cost. It has trample, and when it dies, create a 6/12 colorless construct artifact token with trample. So it's good. But with this card, it's not so good that I wouldn't put an Eldrazi in its place. So if I got this deck, and what I would do is I'd go through and I look at what are the cards that are not necessary or could potentially be replaced by a better say Eldrazi or something, and that's one of those cards that I would consider replacing. So it's okay if you keep it, but it would be a good card to replace if you find something better that you like.
So this one basically lets you kind of do a thing called imprinting, which basically means you move it from your hand and then it becomes that, and basically just lets you make copies of that card. So you want to maybe imprint an Eldrazi onto it. It's a good idea.
And it's 6 casting, 2/4. Okay, this is an artifact that allows you to pay mana to draw a card.
Another card I was really appreciated that they reprinted.
Forsaken Monument, 5 casting, colorless creatures you control get +2/+2. That's nice. Whenever you tap a permanent for a colorless, add an additional colorless, which is nice. And whenever you cast a colorless spell, you gain 2 life. This card is I would say you definitely, if you're doing a colorless deck, you should have this card in it. You should have it. It's not that expensive. And it just does so much. It's making a lot of the colorless things don't have a lot of what we call lord cards that give benefits to all of your creatures, and so it has that for it. It has you're getting more mana, and you also get in life, which in a colorless deck there's not often, it's not big on life. So yeah, I like it a lot. Oh, little constructs. It's an XX, and it's 0 originally. And when it enters the battlefield, you put X +1 counters on it. And when it dies, create a 1/1 colorless Thropter artifact creature token with flying for each +1/+1 counter on it. You can pay 1, tap it, and put a +1/+1 counter on Hargerback Walker. I don't know if I said that right. It's good for a construct. Again, this is another one where it's fine, but there's so many Eldrazi, and I don't think this deck comes with all the Eldrazi, so it might be worth seeing what price point you want. The nice thing about that is it's versatile with how much you could cast it for, so you could do it earlier in the game, and then also later in the game, which is nice because again that curve is going to be really on the far end of expensive with an Eldrazi deck. but there are ways around that. There are techniques. We have an artifact clue.
Yeah, it's generally a card drawer, you know.
Yeah, that's what it seems to be doing.
Yeah.
Here. Okay. Cauldra.
Yeah, Cauldra complete. So this is actually kind of a Phyrexian thing they put in here. Yeah, Living Weapon basically creates just a little 1/1 black creature, which is interesting.
Yeah.
With Commander requirements, color identity stuff that can fly, but I'm sure there's a legitimate reason for it. But yeah, equipped creature gets +5/+5, first strike, trample, indestructible, haste. It'll do your dishes. It'll microwave your breakfast.
No. Whenever this creature deals combat damage to a creature, exile that creature, which is another, in addition to all the stuff he said besides the making breakfast part. And it is equipped 7, but it does come, it comes equipped to the colorless creature, right?
Yeah. Well, it's not a colorless, it's a black creature.
No, a black creature, but it comes equipped to a creature already, so it's just like if that creature dies, you have to re-equip it for a pretty high price. And it costs 7 initially, but it does a lot, and I could see wanting that.
It's a pretty good reprint.
This card allows you to scry, draw a card.
Card draw. Generally.
Potentially gain life. It's Maze Mine Tomb. It's okay. You could look it up if you're interested. We have another construct, and 11 costing 10/10. And this spell costs X less to cast, where X is the total mana value of non-creature artifacts you control. Okay. Sacrifice 2 artifacts, return it from your graveyard to your hand. I mean, this is non-creature artifacts though. So like those little what's the name?
I don't know.
It's okay, but like honestly, I don't know. It's so expensive. I would consider seeing if there's a better Eldrazi out there to replace it with. Oh, this is nice. Mirage Mirror for 3. You pay 2, and it becomes a copy of target artifact, creature, enchantment, or land until end of turn. So it kind of just like, it doesn't stay that way, but it doesn't cost that much to do. And
you can choose a new creature every turn.
Well, or an artifact, or an enchantment, or a land. So that could be really nice. Another construct. It's a 4 casting 4/4 with a kicker 3. And if it was kicked, it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each non-basic land your opponent controls. Your opponents control. So if you're playing multiple people, it would be the non-basic lands that all of them collectively have together. And when it becomes a target of a spell, sacrifice it and create a number of 1/1 colorless construct artifact creature tokens equal to its power. It's 4 casting costs and it does stuff. So I guess by that token, it's good. I don't actually like. I feel like I was like kind of into Eldrazi for a while, like back when I first started. But then it's kind of like everybody was so afraid to play it that kind of like, things shift as the years go by in Magic, and like what's popular at one moment is as popular at next. And I honestly just can't remember every Eldrazi spell out there, but
yeah, and this is like the first colorless commander deck I think Magic's ever done,
which is nice.
Like a pre-made.
It's nice. So we have Mystic Forge for 4. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may cast artifact spells and colorless spells from the top of your library. That's nice. That speeds up things for you. And you can tap it, pay 1 life, and exile the top card of your library, which is nice. You can do that once a turn. So say you really don't want a card, or you think there might be something that you need better. It does give you some options. I would say not bad. I think that's a decent card to have in there. Perilous Vault. Oh, it's a 4 casting artifact. You pay 5 and tap it, and you exile it, and exile all non-land permanents. So it's an artifact board wipe. Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye, everything. Okay, now we have Phyrexian Golem.
So many golems.
I know. I think they're just like, it's colorless. We could just put. It says it's almost the same thing. I'm like, is it though? Is it? I don't know. But let's see. Let's give it a shot. So it's a 9/9 for 9, and when it dies, create 3/3 colorless Phyrexian Golem artifact creatures, and it has Encore 12, which is exile this card from your graveyard for each opponent. Create a token copy that attacks that opponent this turn if able. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step, and activate only as a sorcery. So that gives it a little bit more versatility. I would say like it's an okay card, but again, it's so expensive. It does some stuff, but I don't know that it does enough that like there isn't a better Eldrazi, because I feel like I haven't even reached like any of like the really powerful Eldrazi.
Golem.
A golem.
This is a pretty old one. Solemn Simulacrum basically just allows you to grab a card from your graveyard.
No, basically on card from your library, and when it dies, you might draw a card. So it's like that mana ramp and that draw.
Yeah. Well.
We have a Phyrexian Avatar, a 6/6 for 6 trample. Pay 5 permanent you control, gain indestructible until end of turn. Pay 5, exile him from your graveyard, permanent you control, gain indestructible until end of turn. I could see wanting this one in there just because of the indestructible. So that one is like a little bit better than some of the other things, and maybe they're just trying to make a base deck where like we have more options. It's just like at the price point that I don't know if they've dropped. I just kind of want it to be like really, like for me, I prefer something that was really heavy on the thing that I'm trying to get. For instance, we have a dragon here. It's an artifact dragon, and it's a 5/5 for 6 flying.
It's more permanent destruction.
You could pay 2 into it repeatedly each time, giving you +1/+0 to end of turn, and X destroy each non-land permanent with mana value X whose controller was dealt combat damage by at this turn. Activate only once each turn. Okay, that's actually, I see why you'd want that in there.
It's just more card destruction. It's like,
but it's really good. It's targeted card destruction, and yeah, that's a snake.
Just gives you a big snake for how much X you put into it.
Again, with the X, it makes it versatile with that mana curve, so maybe it's needed. Just like, so it's not like you're waiting like the whole game to like even start to play. But I don't know.
Just got some permanents out. You could draw more cards. We're starting to get into some of the colorless
Which
lands.
is a land. It's Arch of Urzaca. We have an artifact Transmogriffing with Wand.
Yep.
For 3, and when it enters the battlefield with 3 charge counters on it, pay 1 and tap it, remove a charge counter from him, and destroy target creature. Its controller creates a 2/4 white Ox creature token, activate only as a sorcery.
Equinoxes.
So, yeah, they get powerful stuff, but it's like a way to deal with like.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of cards in here to destroy cards.
And here we have a land, Blast Zone.
Basically allows you to destroy permanents, is kind of like I was saying.
Yeah, that's good. That's fine. Bonder's Enclave, which allows you to draw a card for 3, but you can only do it if you control a creature with power 4 or greater. It's not bad. You also you could tap it just for colorless mana, and it comes into play untapped with that.
Everyone draws a card.
And discards a card for 2. That's a land. I think we're in lands now, you guys. Mirror Pole.
Yeah, so the main point on this one is there's not a ton of sorceries, but this allows you to copy a sorcery or a creature. So you can sacrifice it and make one of your creatures copied.
This is okay. I could see why they put this in. It does enter the battlefield tapped, and it is a colorless land. It's Ruins of Oran Reef. But the second ability is you tap it, and you put a +1/+1 counter on target colorless creature that entered the battlefield this turn. I play with a card that's kind of like that. That's green, like a land. In my green deck, my green
It's
elf deck.
actually the same land, but the Eldrazi in the story killed that land.
Oh, well, that's sad. Okay, let's try to get through this. We're almost done. So we're gonna go a little bit faster. We have a desert. It's exile all graveyards essentially. Seagate wreckage. Draw a card, and you can only do if you have no cards in hand.
Thematically on point.
Shrine of the Forsaken Gods. Spend this mana only to cast colorless spells. Activate only if you control 7 or more lands.
Yeah.
Bad.
Thematically. Just more +1s.
Yeah, this makes one of your legendary creatures like a god, and you make it indestructible. This is a draw a card land.
At least they put this card in here.
Eldrazi Trample, yeah.
Temple.
Temple.
So you can basically tap it to spend 2. Yeah. It would have been nice if they put Eye of Ugin in there, which makes all your colorless spells 2 less.
Forge of Heroes, which works for like commanders. No, is it commanders?
Yeah.
Creature counters, planeswalkers and stuff. It's just that one's okay. I don't know. Return the land you control. I don't know about this one. Guildless commons, but it does allow you to tap it for 2 colorless, so eventually it's good.
Kind of some trying to mana rampant.
Okay, and then this is another. It's like a storage land where you can like mana ramp that way. More like 2 casting ones. Oh, this is good. Pay 2 on Tomb of the Spirit Dragon, and you tap it and you gain 1 life for each colorless creature you control. So that one, 100%. Tomb of the Spirit Dragon, definitely put that in. Uzra's Mine, Uzra's Plant, Uzra's Tower, and so that's good. You want all 3 of those. So they now tap for 2.
Congratulations, it is a commander deck if you can get all 3.
Okay, and then that's it. The rest are like just basic lands and stuff, and we're getting really close to the hour mark, and so I don't really know about new to things, but I just want to say overall, what do you think of the thing? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I think the Eye of Ugin would have been nice because it, that it's the land that lowers all your colorless spells by 2.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, it was a $10-15 card that's now $60. Primarily because they didn't put it in this deck. Urza's Workshop, which could have been, it's kind of like the 4th land for the, would have been nice. And honestly, I was really kind of hoping for some more of those legendary Eldrazi.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot. Like the stuff that like this deck doesn't make me super afraid. Like it's powerful, but it's like if that just on its own, playing against it, like I'm not like so scared. But there's been Eldrazi decks I played. I'm like, holy bleep, like oh my gosh. And I think that really highlights like kind of with some of those big power decks that you think of like elf decks. I like my elf deck. The elf deck that I first played was so powerful that I was like, wow, teach me, master. And like teach me the ways. And I've played elf decks that were just not good. And so it's one of those things where this one's good, but it's a good base. I think it's a good base, and there's a lot of cards that you could take out and add new stuff. And I think we're gonna end there, but feel free to make comments and ask questions in the section, and you can always subscribe. And again, this videos like this are Clover Games, because I'm Tamala Clover and I like to game. And that's gonna be it for today for us. We're gonna be going over the other 3 decks just like this, and then we're gonna be testing out some of these decks in their form against decks that are comparable to them that are made by people that aren't from Wizards of the Coast. Good night, lovelies, and I'm gonna let you turn the video off, buddy.
Thanks
Say
for
goodbye.
having me.
Thanks for having. Yeah,
Appreciate
thanks
it.
for coming.
Bye.